Pete. As a kind reminder, if you like what you hear
Hey,
or
Mark.
see, please
Hey,
hit
welcome.
that subscribe button.
Hey, everybody! I screwed up again. First time, so ever.
No,
it's
all good.
I turned my mic on, but not Mark's mic.
Oh no, it's okay. John, I've done whatever you've done here. I've done worse.
I was
All right.
pantomiming. I was pantomiming then.
All right, Mark, it's all you, buddy.
I've definitely done worse.
Why don't you just do
You
that?
ready?
We'll do that again. There we go.
Am I waiting for you, or am I just going?
Just go.
All right.
Just go.
Hey, ballers! Welcome to If These Balls Could Talk with a trio in the midst of the final frontier, like Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. This is Mark, along with John and Pete. As a kind reminder, if you like what you hear or see, please hit that subscribe button. Tonight, with us being episode number 8 of the season, we welcome back to the podcast
Jefim's
Mr.
back.
Jefim Piekarz. Good evening, Jefim.
Hello, boys. Lucky number 8.
Lucky
Yeah.
Is this
number 8.
This triple eights now?
Quadruple
This is
eights.
technically quad 8.
Quad
Quad
eights.
Season
eights.
4.
Yeah.
Season 4.
It's almost 5 of a kind, but not. It's
Not
4 of a
only
kind.
are we in the middle of season 4, but I want to wish everyone a happy 1-year anniversary. That's right. If These Balls Could Talk is 1 year old.
We did it, you
Happy
guys.
anniversary,
We
everyone.
haven't made any money yet, but it's okay.
Feels like just yesterday that we started that first podcast. Like the day after, we're like, we should do a podcast. Okay, let's do a test. Okay, this is going to be the first episode. Okay.
It did really move like that.
It was
And
fun.
John,
much.
I apologize. I'm going to be coughing a little bit, so that's going to make
all right.
editing fun.
It's all right. We have to cut off the 20 minutes I was fucking around with the stream, so it's all good, man.
All right. So,
All good.
how's everyone been? John, let's start with you.
We bought a brand new bed, so I stayed home. Well, I stayed home from work today to pick up Jamie from school. That's what I do. I work from home, but I was like, oh, I'll send to bed today. So the guys were coming, and I had a meeting, and I was like, better get here before my meeting, or they're gonna knock, and I'm not gonna get them. I'm not, but they made it. They made it. It's beautiful. I hope it's comfortable.
What kind of bed is it?
It's a sort of sleeper.
Ooh. Oh wait, you haven't tried it out yet?
I laid on it for 10 seconds. I have not slept on
Tonight
it.
will be the first. Tonight will be the first night that you sleep on
The
it.
things you get excited about when you're almost 43, I tell you what.
Oh, seriously.
Hey, a mattress is a big deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And my sugar mama bought it for me.
Ooh, your sugar mama?
No, she did. She did. She did. She wanted a bed, and I was like, well, I can't afford a bed. She's like, I could afford a bed. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Pete, how about you? Give us an update on.
Baby watch. Well, as we before the stream started, we heard from pregnant sideline reporter Stephanie Ford-Stephan on the status of Joe Burrow's wrist. But as for us, this will be the last show before we are parents, because if she does not go into labor by Monday the 20th, she's going to get induced, and that'll be that. So yeah, we're at the end.
And we're taking
now.
Thanksgiving off, you guys. No matter how much we love you, we're going to eat Thanksgiving dinner instead of making a show. So
I agree.
Pete, I'm honored that I get to be on your last show before the baby.
Okay. Oh my god. Steph just punked me.
What'd she do?
She literally just walked over.
She's not really pregnant, is she?
No, she just goes over and she's like, I'm having contractions, like all serious. I was like, what? And she's like,
Wow.
are you sure she's punking you?
Did she drop
Yes.
a water bottle like in the office? It's like,
no,
oh, my water
that
broke.
that would have been really bad. Mark wants to know if you dropped a water bottle on the floor. That would.
Now you're not gonna believe me when
No, yeah. Now it's the boy who cried wolf syndrome. Now I'm not gonna believe you.
Yeah, you better be careful.
That'll be the whole joke. I really had a baby.
Oh, it's saving a hospital bill.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
that's true.
Oh my gosh.
I'm doing fine, guys.
Yeah, how's Mark doing?
I'm still.
about this.
How are you
I was waiting.
doing?
I was totally waiting for.
So here it is, right? And I told Pete today when he told me he wanted me to run the stream for next week or for next show. I was like, well, I was going to test it next week, and so I'm literally too focused on the stream to talk and fill in the space. So
Okay, I'll ask.
I will get
Mark.
better
Mark, how
at
you
filling
doing?
in the space as we progress, being both the producer and myself. So
Yes, everybody go easy on John. I threw this on him at the last minute because we didn't know.
4 hours ago. It's fine.
I didn't even know.
John,
that
you're
I'd
doing a
even
great
be,
job. You're doing a
yes.
great job.
Well, the
John.
stream's up and it's not 10 o'clock, so I feel good about that.
There
Hey,
you go.
there we go.
There you go.
Except I'm watching
Wait,
it in
does that
OBS,
mean-
which is odd. But whatever.
Yeah.
You can swap off OBS if you want. The stream will survive.
The stream.
Does that mean I get to be the color?
You want to be the color guy?
tonight?
Yeah, you can be the color guy.
Do I get to be the color guy tonight?
Yeah, sure.
You get to be John Madden. Nice.
Well, Mark, they're not
Top
going to win
acting
if they don't
acting.
score more runs.
Can I talk about how salty I am that Joe Burrow is hurt? I was an actual playoff hunt for my Dynasty League, but not without Joe Burrow.
Can we call this like topic 0?
Not with a quarterback who doesn't have a hand anymore.
He has a hand. It's just huge.
So
Anyway,
I like Rashad Bateman. That
I
was a
just
good
finished
catch.
watching Chernobyl, and that's some horrific. It was an incredible documentary, or like not documentary, but like a scripted show based on the real events that happened
A docudrama.
to the nuclear power plant in docudrama.
That's the word.
Some of the people's hands when they touched like the super highly irradiated graphite that was in the core when it exploded, and their hands would like puff up. That's like minus the blood and sores. That's what Joe Burrow's hand looked like as he was walking off the side. It's all too real.
by the way, if you guys haven't caught on, we normally watch the Thursday Night Football game while we're recording this. So we're seeing this before. Well, I guess while everyone else is seeing it, but you're going to hear about it well after it's happening. But that's why we're talking about Joe Burrow, because it just happened.
If you're listening to the podcast, go back in time. And
If it's
catch us live on YouTube
2037,
to watch along.
this is the day Joe Burrow stopped playing football.
That's a long career.
All right.
Well, Mark, if Joe Burrow can't throw a pass, he's not going to be able to throw any touchdowns.
Thanks,
he
Color.
has a left hand. Maybe he'll pull Patrick Mahomes and start throwing left hand.
All right. We're behind, so let's
Anyway.
move on.
All right.
So since Jefim is a frequent guest of the show, wow, what did I just write?
I bet it was great.
Oh, okay. All right, wait. Oh, let's start that over. So since Jefim is a frequent guest of the show, our audience knows him probably just as well as we do. So no questions today, but instead we're going to throw it back to Jefim with his very own segment, Jefim's Got Balls. Take it away, Mr. Piekarz.
Ooh.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. So, listeners, our esteemed hosts, John and Mark and Pete, have made some strong statements in the past and have had some.
I
very
live on
false
strong
erroneous.
statements, you guys.
Erroneous.
Uh-oh.
It's my natural state.
However, they've left certain questions unanswered.
Ooh.
In this segment, which I'm nicknaming Holding Your Balls to the Fire, I'm going to ask them 5 questions inspired by previous episodes and ask them to draw a line in the sand and share their opinions, how they would fix some of these situations. Are you guys ready?
Hell yeah.
I'm as ready as I can.
Bring
be.
it on.
All right. So I'm going to hit you with one.
Bring it on down,
John, you
question,
speak of
Phil.
often.
Yeah.
Now, the way this will work is we'll throw it out there, and I'm going to ask you, what would you specifically do? So I'm going to go around the room here. So, John, you have often talked about the dire situation the Yankees find themselves in.
Jesus
A
Christ.
roster that is poorly constructed, a GM who has been in his job for decades and has failed to act at several crucial times, a manager who has a middling record in his multiple years in the job, and now finishing second to last in their division. So, you guys are the president of the Yankees. What would you do to fix the organization?
Well, I mean, I'd start firing Brian Cashman. I mean, there's nothing Brian Cashman is doing for
fact.
There's nothing Brian Cashman is doing for the organization that is helping. I'd probably also fire Aaron Boone, who's a middling manager at best. I think that the Yankees themselves, at least from what I'm hearing in the offseason, are on the right track. They're looking to really actually get good starting pitchers and pad the starting pitching. They're going after, and Jefim, I don't remember his name, but there's a giant Asian prospect that they're going after.
Oh, yes, he's about to list in the MLB. I'm forgetting his name.
John, since you're our interim producer, maybe I should be the interim research department.
I'm doing that's fine. No worries. I'm not stressed. But I think that they're also going after Drew Thorpe and Ben Rice. So I think there is a lot of at least positive action going on in the Yankee camp. Will it fix anything? I don't know. The media that they're throwing on are our just named today Cy Young Award-winning starting pitcher, is kind of impressive. They're like, we didn't suck.
Yay, Spider Tech.
He won the Cy Young. He didn't cheat. Everything's fine. Everything's great in Yankee camp. It's literally the meme of the guy sitting in the fire. Literally. What do you think, Mark?
So first of all, that prospect's name is Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
Yes, Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
He's 25 years old, and he sounds like he's almost like Pedro, because he's listed at 5'10" and 176 pounds. That's almost Pedro dimensions there. What would I mean, seriously, Boone should have been fired after last year. Cashman definitely needs to be fired. I mean, Come on. You got to start. Clearly what they've been doing is not working. So it's time to move on. To the left, right? Beyonce fans. Anyway, they have to have an actual plan. Getting all of the power right-handed hitters is not a very good plan.
It's a full
obviously.
righty. It's a full righty lineup. It boggles the mind.
When everyone bats 200, but they hit 40 solo home runs, clearly that's not a very winning strategy, right?
No.
Has any team tried to be an all lefty batting team?
No, because that's awful too.
That also sucks.
They did try to get that one left-handed hitter, Joey Gallo, but he batted under 200, and I think he just had like 15 total home runs as a Yankee.
That's not good at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hearing left-handed bats, pitching, and basically fire the front office.
Everyone's got to go. I think Hal might need
just
to
have
go.
a plan. Have a plan. That's what I thought the Red Sox did wrong too. It's like, what the hell was your plan? It's like, I don't get it. Like, you start with one strategy and then, I'm just going to completely change strategies now and do this. It's like, no, you need to have like a long-term plan in order to build a franchise.
Okay. All right. So we need a long-term plan, a new front office, some lefty bats, and some pitching. So
that's it.
not much.
Little things.
All right. Well, moving on. Keeping it moving here, boys. All right, flipping it over now. Mark's New England Patriots are sitting at an AFC East
next topic.
Worst 2-8, and the worst record of any Patriots team under Bill Belichick's reign to this point in the season. So you've previously discussed the classic, how much was it Brady and how much was it Belichick? But at this point, Brady's been in the rearview mirror for a number of years. So your fans want to know, how do you fix their beloved team in New England? What needs to be done, and what would you do first?
As much as I love Bill Belichick and love the fact that he brought the franchise 6 Super Bowls, I think it's time for Bill to go. He's been there for a while. His tactics just aren't working anymore, or the team is not listening. Now, if Bill stays, if Bill stays, he needs to have someone in the front office help him on recruit offensive players or draft offensive players, because what he's been doing on offense is just not working. He's amazing at defense. He can draft defense all day long, but offense not so much. So I think he needs to give up the GM duties if he's going to stay, and there needs to be an actual GM. But I really think Bill's got to go. And as much as I was on the Mac Jones bandwagon and was willing to ride it out with him, I think he's a good player, but he's not a player you win with. I want a quarterback that you win because of, not kind of in spite of.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mac Jones, again, quality player, but I think a quarterback, you need to win because of that guy, and Mac Jones just doesn't bring that game.
Cody Bellinger, by the way. Cody Bellinger is the
pretty much agree
top
with all
starter
that, so.
that the Yankees are going after. I had a second to think about it. I love Cody Bellinger and Yamamoto, along with
Cody Bellinger's a shortstop, right?
Yes.
He's not a pitcher.
I was about to say, John.
But they are going after Cody Bellinger.
But he's a free agent. Cubs, I think he was on the last year.
Yeah.
Left-handed bat. A left-handed bat at Yankee Stadium. Imagine that.
Oh shit! An left-handed bat at Yankee Stadium.
John, nice trying to change the subject back. But John, what would you do now to fix the Patriots?
I mean, I think he's right. I think that
of course I'm right.
I think that Bill Belichick needs to stop trying to be the coach and the GM. I just think it's improper way to run a modern football team. I think that they need some serious help with their skill players. They have Ramondre Stevenson. That's it. I mean, I don't know who scores the touchdowns in New England as a not New England fan. Like, I just don't know. Because nobody scores the touchdowns
right
in New England
at this point.
I think the only team that scores less is the Jets.
Or the Giants.
Well, except for when the Patriots played Buffalo and suddenly Mac Jones looked like Tom Brady, and I was spinning my head like, what?
Yeah.
Anything else you do, John?
Go back to the days. I mean, I think that the NFL has consistently proven in the last 5 seasons that you need a top quarterback to be good. And if we don't believe that, let's look at the Houston Texans, who won 3 games last year and are going to probably get into the playoffs. And CJ Stroud being, at this point in the season, an MVP candidate. Right? I mean, you can't tell me he's not an MVP candidate.
Tank for Caleb.
Right. Tank for Caleb Williams. Tank for Drake May. Tank for somebody who isn't Mac Jones, right? That's what I want the Giants to do.
I hope the Texans start actually spending money around CJ Stroud for next year, so that they can actually maybe be a contender next year. How
fucking exciting are they? I mean, really, Nico Collins is saving Jefim's fantasy season. Saving is a loose term for Jefim's fantasy season, but Nico Collins is playing amazingly, even though he's hurt. Tank Dell is playing amazingly for a tiny little human like me, but he's so good at catching footballs. I mean, they have Jalen Pitre in their secondary. I'm just that team. As well as Detroit, by the way. Houston and Detroit have really proven what a rebuild looks like in the NFL because they're both contenders now, and serious contenders. And they were both terrible not even 3 seasons ago. Terrible, so bad.
All right. So we fixed the Yankees and the Patriots. Now on to another team that you guys have made a number of statements about, and you talk about often. The Buffalo Bills.
This is common.
Just suffered another loss, this time at the hands of the Denver Broncos. In response, they fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey. Now, previously on the podcast, your opinions on the team have ranged from they're in trouble, they might be in trouble, and they're fine. So,
it's been quite the range. It's been quite the range.
I mean, they've been fine until they were in trouble, and now they're in trouble.
So after this latest loss, putting them at 5-5 for the season, and the coaching change, what do you think is happening in Buffalo? Are they okay, or do they need to be fixed? Can they be fixed at this point?
Before Pete goes, and I want Pete to really get into it.
Yeah, Pete should go.
This podcast has stated numerous times that the play calling in Buffalo is really, really, really very basic. And I think we could call better plays than the play calling in Buffalo, right? I mean, Mark knows, and I know, and Pete knows that what they're going to do is they're going to pass it to Stephon Diggs, or Josh Allen's going to run. That's it.
Or 4 verticals.
Or 4 verticals, right? I mean, that's what they're going to do.
I mean, so half of Josh Allen's interceptions have all been from the same play call.
Right.
And yet they keep doing it.
Prove your point.
It is a mirrored option route where basically your 2 wide receivers go short or long, depending on what the DB does. Every single time the receiver has gone short and Josh thought they were going long, or vice versa. And
wait. So both wide receivers have an option route and not just one?
Yes. On either side of the field.
Wait, there's more than one wide receiver?
Interesting.
So this is a microcosm of the entire offensive scheme, and I'll explain it. So what happens on this play, every time they run it, is the DB knows this play exactly before they even run it. When they line up, they said, oh yeah, this is that play. And they jump right in front of the ball because they know there's going to be a mismatch in communication between Josh Allen and the receiver, and they just jump it.
And yet they kept running it.
And they keep running it. So that is a microcosm of their entire offense.
Where were the days where Josh Allen was the super aggressive quarterback who would jump over the linebackers? I mean, I think that's probably where they need to go back to, where he's just
probably told him not to.
Completely wildcatting and just making plays for himself and just being more athletic than the other guy.
Brian Dable left. That's what happened. They had a very good offensive coordinator that knew exactly
that is a true fact.
And Ken Dorsey is a bad offensive coordinator.
I don't know if I'd call him bad, but he's
he was bad.
He's a terrible fit for the Bills.
I'm sorry,
and
Pete.
Josh Allen.
If the three of us know what the play is, then that's a bad offensive coordinator.
That is pretty bad.
Offensive coordinator, you guys.
Yeah, it is pretty bad. I just don't want to get my hopes up that Canningham is going to save anything because I think it's too late.
It's fine
But
if Dayball has another bad season at the Giants, and nobody go back
maybe
to
they'll
the
just get him
Bills.
back. So
Sorry, John and Jefim.
I've been told basically from analysts and from other NFL players, right? So players that have gone to the Bills from other teams have said this is the most complicated offense that they've ever had to learn. And simultaneously, when asked defensive backs of opposing teams, when asked about defending the Bills offense, they said this is the simplest offense they've ever had to defend. So it is both the hardest to learn and execute and the easiest to defend.
That's funny.
And I've watched
that's
a lot
bad
of
thing.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of X's and O's breakdowns that basically dissect it and prove exactly why that is the case.
Funny.
So they've turned Josh Allen into a extremely scared and unconfident shell of his former self, and he basically is set up to always make the wrong decision.
So do we think the problems are solved with Ken Dorsey being gone?
I mean, no.
For 2024,
They
if
still only have one
also-
wide
What about
receiver.
this year?
No, I don't think so. I think they miss the playoffs and win 8 to 9.
Think they missed the playoffs?
I bet they finish 8-9 or 9-8 and miss the playoffs.
You are not the Joseph Peter that I know.
Hey, I mean, they have to play the
Fatherhood has
Cowboys,
changed
the
you.
Eagles, the Chiefs, Miami, the Jets, who have already beaten them and beat them last year when then again, I guess they were still in Ken Dorsey, but.
So Pete, they're teasing you right now. So Mark, John, what do you think? Do you think it's been solved, and do you think they'll end the season 8 or 9 wins?
No. I mean, I don't think they'll make the playoffs this season. I don't see how they could.
No. All right.
So you guys were
are
shocked when I said
overreacting.
it, but then you
guys are
say
overreacting.
No, I don't.
All
I'm
right?
not shocked at all. I agree with you. They're on a. I have
make
said
the
this to
playoffs.
all of you for many, many years, over and over again, that sports, and especially playoff sports, is entirely momentum. And I mean, they lost to the Broncos, you guys. The Broncos.
So did the Chiefs. Does that mean the Chiefs aren't going to make the playoffs?
The Chiefs are not sputtering, Mark. They're not sputtering. And the Bills are sputtering.
I would beg to differ on that, my friend.
Actually, the Chiefs' offensive numbers are worse than the Bills.
I mean, but yeah. And actually, there is some talk. Their
Their defense is better than the Bills, though.
That
Way
Russ
better.
is better this year. Maybe.
He looked
Javonte
better.
isn't injured this year, so maybe the Denver Broncos aren't terrible. I mean, 5 games, but there's a lot of teams that are winning.
Maybe Sean
5
Payton
games.
actually knows what he's doing.
Maybe Sean
Denver's
Payton actually
way-
knows what he's doing.
And then the Denver defense actually, if you don't count the Miami game, their defense has actually been pretty good.
Yeah. So we just saw last week an 8 to 9 win team defeated another 8 to 9 win team. They're
Right.
both
8 to 9 win teams.
right.
Yes.
They're both stuck in the middle of the pack right now.
I-
That's where they're at. And the AFC is a giant pack. It's every team
You're a
is going
giant
to win
pack.
8 to 10 wins.
But you know who's going to win the AFC? The Baltimore Ravens, who are taking apart the Bengals right now.
Yeah,
They do kind of look like the best team right now.
it's theirs or Kansas City's to lose right now.
Right?
I think the Bills are guys. I still think the Bills are going to make the playoffs. Whether or not they're going to do anything in there, I don't
How?
think so.
You could have
What do
every
you mean how?
team in the, every
They
team in
still-
the AFC North could be in the playoffs this year.
That is true. That is a truth.
Pete,
fact.
is that what you called?
We're gonna get to that a little bit later, but listen. The Bills still have time to turn things around. Yes, their defense is a suspect just because of injuries for the most part.
And McDermott
they still have
calling a
Josh
cover
Allen.
zero blitz
They
on
still
the
have
final
Josh
play of the game.
Allen. They still have Josh Allen. They still have Stephon Diggs. Dalton Kincaid's been coming out too. They still have running backs too that maybe they'll decide to use with this new interim.
Can I ask
OC.
why
thing,
Leonard Fournette
Mark.
is sitting on the bench?
They have been using them. They just run out of shotgun and get less than 4 yards a carry. Their running
Yeah.
scheme is
Maybe
the
they
worst,
should do that a little
It's
bit.
the worst scheme in the
Maybe
NFL.
they
Can
should
we
do
just
it. Maybe Josh should
discuss-
go under center.
All right.
Yeah, I think that would
The
actually
Broncos
help.
scored a touchdown, and for some reason, the Bills benched James Cook for a quarter. They came out of that
Well, he did
kickoff.
fumble the ball.
They came out of that kickoff. They gave him the ball 6 times for gains, and they scored in a minute. like a minute they scored. They ran the ball right down the field. This is the only time they did it the whole game. And they looked, and this is what I said to Pete, they looked like a better team for that 1 minute. They looked like a playoff team. They were just like, oh, these are fucking Broncos. Let's just beat the shit out of them. And then they stopped. They stopped again.
Well, that's the problem with that offense. It's impossible to go fast and just breakneck speed because every play is reactionary. Once in a while, you get a chain of plays that works, but more often than not, it's not going to stay that way.
All right, we got to move on.
What I'm hearing in the summary there is you guys are saying it was the right move to get rid of the offensive coordinator, but it may not save the season.
Yes.
That's not what I said.
That's not what Mark says. That's what John and I
Mark
say.
feels they will make it.
I can't believe out of everyone, I'm the one that's the most positive on the Bills right now.
I appreciate your optimism, Mark.
All right.
Hey, Jefim and I are the
I'll cut
guy
this one short.
whose quarterback still lives with his mom in Jersey. So
Yes. Yes.
Is that the next one?
we are
So,
a little bit
John,
negative on the NFL right now.
So, John, the Danny Dimes, no.
He's like, yeah, I'm saving money, league minimum, living with my parents in Jersey.
Mom does my laundry.
Mom does my
Why would I
laundry.
leave?
All right. So, completely switching topics now. Last week, you discussed the effects of performing-enhancing drugs were having on marathon running and how they were largely responsible for the shattering of a number of the records. So, how do you guys feel about performing-enhancing drugs in running and sports in general, if you want to open it up a little bit? And how would you fix the problem? Parentheses there if you think there is a problem.
Just have everyone take drugs. Next topic.
I can speak from experience of which I don't know if this was actually a performance enhancing drug or just a giant prank by our track coach in high school. But before an 800 meter race in ECICs, which was like the all county like track meet, kind of like sectionals idea. Maybe it was sectionals. Anyway, he was like, this concoction thing should boost your like adrenal glands temporarily for the race and all this other stuff, and it's some ancient Shaolin monk enhancement formula. And so my buddy and I were like, well, we're running the 800 against a tough pack, so bottoms up. And it was the most awful tasting thing I've ever tasted in my life. I'm like swishing around, and he's like, hold it in, it'll enhance like your something. And we're like, I don't know, my stomach was on fire for that race, but I PR'd. So that to me is the summary of performance enhancing drugs in running. It's not great.
So Pete's condoning drugs, John?
Yes.
So it's an interesting thing you talk when you think about it, right? Because you want everything to be clean, but I mean every major professional sport, even though they fight against it, most major professional sports players are doing something, right? They're doing the whole baseball steroid scandal where all the players were playing to recover from injuries, but also they're like, oh, wow, that makes me feel really great. Now I can throw the ball really hard, and enhancing makes for more exciting sports. And so the question, right, the entertainment value versus the ethical value is really very, very prominent when you talk about it like that, where you're like, I want sports to be exciting and I want the athletes to be healthy, but I don't want them cheating. But what is cheating, right?
What is cheating? No, yeah, exactly.
Where do you draw the line between an acceptable performance
in some
enhancement
respects, in some respects, it's an arbitrary line. It's like, so steroids is against the rules, but there's also other enhancements that are legal.
Right.
Like, so why are those legal and steroids is not?
Right. And then the thing you brought up last week, which is actually a really good point when we talk about the ethics versus the entertainment and actually just like the positive social value, all the good that Lance Armstrong did, even though he cheated the entire time, is a question, right? You have to think about it, because maybe he doesn't win 15 Tour de France's if he's not taking steroids. Like, maybe he's just a loser with some weird yellow bracelets, and then like that's less interesting, and it's less good for cycling, and it's less good for sports. So I don't know. I don't know.
It's funny that you mentioned cycling, because that is like arguably the dirtiest sport. I mean, more than half of the cyclists are probably doping.
More than half the professional sports players.
That
are
was
doping.
definitely
They're not doping.
That was definitely the case in Lance Armstrong's day. I don't know about now because Americans don't really follow cycling now that Lance Armstrong's not winning. But it's, I mean, so if everyone is doing it, like, does that make it bad? Or I don't know.
So
that's a rhetorical question. It's a rhetorical question.
So it sounds like you guys are on the boat that there's not a problem. It's okay.
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know what I think
people start
about
replacing
that.
their limbs with robot parts.
I mean,
think
maybe I
we're
want
fine.
mandatory steroid, cybernetic enhancement NFL. Like, that would be really fucking cool, right?
Here's where it changes though. If you had a son, 2 of the 4 of us have a son coming, or have a son right now. He wanted to be a professional athlete
Or daughter.
Very, very fair. Very fair.
Jamie might start doping.
Three of the 4 of us have kids.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe they want to become an athlete, and we want to support what our kids do, right? What happens if they make it to the professional level? What happens if all of a sudden they get tempted to use some kind of performance enhancing drugs? Not necessarily looking for an answer, but I think maybe our views of will our views change in that scenario?
I mean, in the world where, most pitchers were doing something to stay healthy so that they could do the profession that they loved, in a world where probably most NFL players are doing something so they don't die. I mean, I don't know. If it's a health thing, I probably would be for the health thing. I mean, I am admittedly ethically gray when it comes to my kid. I think you are too, Jefim. I mean, if I had to do some dirty shit to keep Jamie good, I would do some dirty shit. I mean, I would.
Just nothing that would have any long-term negative health consequences, I think.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the question. That's like the overall health benefits versus the health negatives.
Sure. Keep in mind, I eat chicken wings like 3 times a week. That's negative. That's bad for my health too. I guess that is a negative
health.
Yeah.
I suppose so, yeah.
All right.
Anyway, we got to move on.
All right.
So, last one.
Will has a really interesting question. Why are performing enhancing drugs okay, but non-performance enhancing drugs bad?
Ooh.
I mean, like pot?
Pot's great.
Pot is definitely not a performance enhancing drug, but it's still illegal, right?
And Shaun White lost the gold medal. Shaun White lost his gold medal.
Pot is a performance enhancing drug.
Okay. Anyway,
let's move on. Takes the edge off.
All right.
You take the edge off.
So, final topic here. A common topic on the show is
not that one.
Not their actual final topic here, folks. A common topic on the show is AI and the many ways it's rapidly affecting our lives. And as you guys referenced, how Skynet is going to be born any day now. So, without getting into all the ethics of AI, if you could wave a magic wand and change anything about what's happening in the development of AI, or has already happened, what would it be?
So I've said this before, and it's something that I truly believe in. There needs to be some kind of warning if there's like a deep fake video out there, because there's people out there that are going to believe that whatever they see is going to be true. So if someone does a deep fake video and they believe it to be true, but in reality it's not, because you can easily do, maybe Joe Biden saying that he loves Nazis, or Donald Trump saying, well, pretty much anything that he says. But people are going to believe what they see, whether or not it's true or not, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't really see people doing any kind of fact checking anymore. They just see something that they already believe, and they see a video that agrees with their point of view, so they believe it to be true. Do I think that's going to happen anytime soon? No.
Yeah,
but I think it should.
That's the point,
keep
though.
AI in check.
That is what the federal government is saying. That's what actually a lot of
Joe Biden tried.
AI mandates are saying that there are going to be warnings. That's what Meta is saying. I think that the problem with where AI is going is more of a social like a social America problem. And what I'm saying is there are a lot of people who, like Mark has been saying for a while, they don't really care what the news says as long as it agrees with their opinion. Like, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think on top of that, a lot of people are lazy. And so the idea that AI can do their work for them. And I know a lot of people who are getting their work done with AI right now. It's a dangerous amount of people, to be honest, because AI can code and AI can write and AI can do all the mundane shit that you do in your workday that you don't want to do. And it does it fine. Honestly, it does it fine. It writes really good prose and it writes acceptable code. And if you really are just like playing online poker all day and you want to get 8 hours of work done, it's a really good tool. But what does that do for...
I can do that?
Yeah. I mean, what does that do for creativity in the next 100 years? I don't know. I mean, we've all seen Idiocracy. We are approaching that at a rate that I don't really want to talk about.
So what would you change, John?
I don't think it's a changeable thing, honestly. I don't think we're ever going to make enough social changes to make people not the way they are.
I think it's moving a little faster than society probably realizes, and it's just going to go at a pace where it's just going to be out of control.
What would I change? I'd probably assassinate Sam Altman because he's a scumbag and he should not be at the center of it.
The opinions of John Campani are not necessarily those of These Balls Can Talk.
Not a nice person, and I think that ethics in bleeding edge technology is really important. And I don't think Sam Altman is very ethical. And to be honest, I don't think a lot of big corporate high tech guys are ethical. I would subscribe to. Will said he would subscribe.
Pretty much anyone who's a billionaire, right, is probably not ethical.
Right. I mean, you don't become you don't. There is literally no way to become a billionaire and be a nice person.
Yeah, I'm
a nice person, and I am not very rich.
Yes, preach to the choir, man.
Right.
All right.
Well, rich.
Boy. Pete, anything you'd like to add before we close the segment?
Keep it as a tool. That's the extent of it.
All right.
And AI combating other AI.
Well, thank you, gents, for participating and holding your balls to the fire. Folks, you've heard it. They've put it in writing now, or at least I'm sure there's some AI bot.
It's been in writing for a whole year. We're all AIs,
and
you guys.
Now we can get on with the rest of the show.
All right. Are we ready to kick off this shindig?
Yes, let's go.
Hell yeah.
We're going to have so many topics this episode. Who's got a first topic?
4 fucking hours.
Who's got a first topic?
I should totally have just limited that, guys. I'm sorry. We're figuring this out as we go.
I think Pete does.
It's the first topic. Yeah.
I love it. I'm into it. Cut and
So
print.
in late-breaking news, Michigan and football head coach Jim Harbaugh has decided to accept his 3-game suspension that the Big Ten doled out to him last week. As a reminder, Harbaugh is being punished for an Ocean's 11 type plot to steal signals from their opponents. While the Big Ten Conference did an investigation of the allegations, it has been reported by multiple outlets that there was no solid proof that Harbaugh had anything to do with the scandal. Although, let's be serious, he did. So, everyone, what are our thoughts on the Michigan scandal, and why do we think Harbaugh accepted his punishment as is?
Because he was guilty. Next topic.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of other theories going on. So he was saying he was innocent this whole time, and then they were supposed to be. So he did miss out on the game last week against Penn State, and there was like a whole appeal process. He was supposed to go to court tomorrow, and essentially plead his case, and then for whatever reason today they said we're good. Now, there's a couple theories out there. One is, yes, he truly was guilty and that he's just accepting his punishment, but I don't actually believe that's why they accepted it. This is what I think. I think he's going to go to the NFL next year.
Wait a second, though.
I think
No. Just back the fuck up. Why would a reasonably powerful white man accept his punishment? Let's just roll that around in our heads for a little bit.
I don't know. Listen.
Because he's
I'm not
guilty.
I'm not gonna pretend I know what's going on in the head of Jim Harbaugh. Okay, he ain't okay.
I mean,
right?
that's like
he does.
The idea
he's done a lot of shady stuff.
Being like, "Hey, I probably did the thing to get a better job," is dumb. It's stupid. He would never do that.
Maybe Michigan told him is like, you have to pay for your defense lawyers
because he was guilty.
He just might be that kind of person that just fails upward.
Yeah. I read a little bit on this, and I was curious about it. I would, I guess what I would say about it is I don't. I'm pretty sure what happened is he basically was like, "Oh, they're going to screw me. I'm going to get like suspended for the season." And then they go, he got all ready to, defend against it, got his whole defense lined up, and then they said, "We're going to give you a 3-game suspension." He's like, "Oh, that's it? Oh, yeah, I'll take that, no problem." Like, so it's, dude, I don't know, man. If you look, there were like videos of the guy he hired on the sideline wearing the other team's jersey. I mean, it's like they got him like dead to red.
I mean,
He
that's
was gonna be
right.
guilty.
Exactly. It's clear that they were doing
There's
it.
no way he didn't know. There's no way he didn't know about it.
Of course
There's
he
no
knew.
way.
No way.
Yeah, the punishment for these kinds of things is so laughable,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and it's like, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
3 games, right? That's a joke.
Yeah.
That's
And I mean, suspending the coach, like what is that going to do? I mean, take
Will Jim Harbaugh go to the NFL next season? Maybe. There's
It's
a
going
lot
to
of
convince
teams.
him to go to the NFL
No,
next
there's
year.
a lot of
Probably,
teams that
yeah.
need coaches.
Hey, I heard the
Sure.
Patriots are going to need a coach. So-
Patriots are going to need a coach. Giants are going to need a coach. Bills are going to need a coach.
Dayball's be fine. Dayball will be on the team next year.
Yeah, I think they gave Dayball one more year.
Hey, I gotta say, and I don't know, it's not Brian Daboll's fault that the Giants are bad. However, the Giants are
It's not?
The Giants are a lot worse than they were 2 seasons ago, like significantly. The idea of going from a passable Danny Dimes and 4 to 6 to 8 wins every season to Tommy fucking DeVito and 2 wins is a big jump.
But wait. They didn't start the season with Tommy DeVito. So what's the difference? Big difference between this year's team and last year's team? That was a playoff team and won a playoff game.
A
Clearly they're not
decimated,
using Isaiah
decimated
Hodgins enough.
offensive line.
Is it the same offensive line as last year?
No, they lost a lot of players.
Yeah, I think they got injured.
They gave
and
they gave
lost
up a lot of
people.
guys. They gave up a
Oh, they
lot of
did?
guys because
Oh,
they
okay.
built
I
the
thought
team
they got
incorrectly. They
injuries.
just built the team incorrectly because I don't know what they were thinking, but they were like, I mean, I think the Waller pickup was smart
Because they had to give Danny Dimes money.
They had to give Danny Dimes money.
Honestly, that's part of it, right? You pay for suddenly you
Well,
lose
this year
$40
is not the
million
first year of
salary
that.
cap to a
This year is
player.
not the first year.
I read-
Oh, wait, is it? Is this year the first year of that extension?
Yes, but I read
Because they didn't pick up the
I
options.
read an
right?
interesting article this week on Danny Dimes.
There you go.
And the idea that the Giants were playing the last 6 years since they drafted Saquon Barkley in the first round is that teams can't build. They just can't. They can't build around a running back. And they were
Not
trying.
anymore.
They were really
anymore.
trying. And that goes all the way up to franchise tagging him and not Danny Dimes. They should have franchise tagged Danny Dimes. They should have gave Barkley what he wanted. They should have, because Danny Dimes isn't the guy, and he never was the guy. They drafted him too early. So, I mean, the structure of this whole team, drafting Danny Dimes, drafting a white Ivy League quarterback from a meddling school in the first round is bad.
But he has a cool nickname.
Bad.
Not even. He was like what? Oh, he was like number 9.
Number 9.
Like there's no way he was that high in anyone else's draft board. Why would you draft
in a
him at 9?
draft where good quarterbacks were drafted? Guys
Isn't that
who
the
were...
draft class of Justin Herbert?
Yes! It
I mean-
was.
yes, it
That
was.
was.
Wow.
Although
just-
Herbert was gone by that time.
So,
The other thing I was going to add, though, bring it back to your Harbaugh question mark.
Yeah.
He's also facing more charges.
Oh, absolutely.
that they
That's why he's
tabled-
gone next year.
No, I agree. Honestly, I think
okay.
there's a lot of merit to what you said and they tabled them until next year. Basically,
Yeah.
they said, "Okay, we'll review these at the beginning."
He has
of
a
next
whole
season.
laundry list of scandals that I didn't list off because we're out of time.
Oh, okay. So that
Because
kind
we're
of,
out
that
of
kind of seems like then he
time.
may. So what does he do then? Sit out a season or, fail?
No, he just goes to the NFL next year.
Yeah, too big to fail coach goes to NFL.
all right, we got to be done.
All right. Next.
Topic.
Now. So,
guys should use
in
this
honor of
as-
Jefim being here, I wanted to talk about the new Mets manager, Carlos Mendoza. He stated in his first press conference that he expects the Mets to compete in 2024, going on to say, don't forget, this is a team that won 100 games not too long ago. And so, Mendoza is the third manager now since Uncle Steve took the reins and bought the team back in 2020. Mendoza goes on to say that he believes in the new president of baseball operations, David Stearns, and is ready to get to work. So, Jefim, what do the Mets need to get back to the playoffs? And do you believe in Carlos Mendoza as a manager? Also, is it time for the Buck Showalter effect?
I mean, I'm counting on the Buck Showalter effect. So, I'm like, just being honest, I'm like, this is fantastic. He got fired. We're going all the way this year, man.
So Jeff and Mark and I have had a theory, and just for the listeners and for Will, who's the only one who's actually listening right now, that
Thank you, Will.
the team leaves the organization, and then that organization goes on to win a number of World Series. And that began with the 90s New York Yankees. He was part of the Dodgers team in the mid-aughts that did really well.
Diamondbacks.
The Diamondback, part of the Diamondbacks team. He was even on this, or he even had a part in creating this Orioles team that did very well this past season. So I think Buck Showalter might be a genius.
Yeah.
He can't be that smart if he gets fired.
Yeah, that's the catch, right? So you had a lot in that question, so I'm going to try and tease it apart, but I'll say everything I've heard about Carlos Mendoza is that he's awesome.
He is awesome, by the way. I'm really sad you have him.
Yeah, the Yankees were like genuinely upset.
Why did the Yankees get rid of him? Yeah.
Well, I think this is back to the question.
They can't be upset if they still have fucking Boone.
I mean, I think this is back to what you guys said, that Brian Cashman should be fired, but
such a garbage human.
I'm excited about it. I think it was just natural, right? They brought in David Stearns, and every single time you bring in a new head of baseball operations, they're going to bring their guys in. That's a thing. Yeah. So I think what was interesting was he wanted Craig Counsell, and Counsell went to the Cubs, right? Mm-hmm. Which was crazy, because that's a Milwaukee Cub. I mean, a whole other conversation there.
Why the Brewers let him kind of walk to the Cubs? I have no idea.
Oh my God!
Across the river. No love lost between the Cubs and the Brewers.
Yeah, no. People were like burning his jersey, like crazy, like in Milwaukee. But anyway, but I'm excited about it. I think he's a great manager. Now that said, I don't think the Mets are a competing team next year. They have no pitching. They have Senga. They're hoping to get Yamamoto, who you mentioned earlier.
They're hoping to get Yamamoto.
So the reason they think they have a chance, to be clear, is Senga is Yamamoto grew up cheering for Senga. They're like tight, so they're hoping that's going to give them an advantage.
And Steve Cohen's rich,
and Uncle Steve money.
And Uncle Steve can outspend pretty much every other owner in baseball, as he proved with the 2 pitchers he signed last year. But I don't see it though. Otherwise, what's that?
And did you guys get a thank you letter from the Texas Rangers? I was just wondering.
Exactly. Even though Scherzer did nothing in the World Series. But...
Yeah, I mean, Scherzer. So I maintain, I told you guys this last time, I think that was the right move. I think Verlander was not very good in the second half, and Scherzer just got hurt multiple times.
Yeah, they never should have signed him to begin with.
So it's bad signings to begin with, and they're gone now.
Well,
and
if they didn't learn from the guys across the river, aging players for lots of money is a bad move. It's a bad
$40 million.
Bad.
About $40 million, and they were both like close to their 40s.
Yep. So I don't see how we're competing next year with the pitching staff we have. That said, our lineup is still very strong. I mean, our lineup is pretty nasty. I mean, top to bottom.
And what is Mendoza gonna say? I mean, right? Rah, brand new job, trust in the system. I mean, that's
no, I don't want all your money, and I don't want to coach a team in New York.
That's the sentence. That's what he has to say. He has to be excited. He has to be positive. He's coaching a New York sports team.
Yeah. So I'm excited for him as a manager. I think in 2025 we probably will be competitive. So
what's the move besides Yamamoto, who's everyone's move? That's like a null. Everybody's gonna want him. But
Cody Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger, sure.
Cody Bellinger. Well, the move. I mean, what are you saying? Next year?
Yeah, I mean, what is the move to make them a competitor right now?
They need pitching, and
they need to build that farm system.
So we do have. The reason I think 2025 is because the Mets have a lot of pitching at the AA level and the high A, AA, and moving to AAA next year. So the hope is that at least 1 or 2 of those guys is going to pan out. We have Senga still; he's signed. We still have Quintana. So there are still pitchers.
Okay, Edwin Diaz too.
And we have Edwin Diaz as a closer. We still have arms. It's just they're not going to be ready for next year. Is the point? So I'm all for 2025. I like Mendoza.
Where do you think Clayton Kershaw lands?
No.
I think he's going to retire.
You think so?
I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to go back to the Dodgers. One more year.
Probably. I mean, finishing at the Dodgers is probably smart for him.
If they won the World Series this year, then he might retire. But no,
He had a pretty. I mean, the surgery he underwent.
okay.
No, but the surgery he had on his shoulder, guys, that was not like. I don't know if he's coming back from that. I mean, just the outcomes of the
Maybe he'll have a Chris Sale here. He'll just come after the All-Star game, and then he'll probably be out in
When you can't have Aaron Nola
August.
because he belongs to the Yankees. So you can have Kershaw, but we get Nola.
No, I don't think Kershaw's going anywhere if he does play, but I really don't think he's going to be able to play next year. He's being very optimistic with his shoulder injury that he had.
All right, we're out of time.
Yeah, just now. I was going to say.
You stole my topic.
I was
you stole
gonna
my
say-
topic.
No, Pete didn't
Yes!
say anything about the Mets.
You said no. You said
All right, then you take the other one.
You said that I could take the Mets.
I forgot because I am distracted running the show. So,
No,
fine.
I did
okay.
write an extra topic.
No,
I
but
wrote an
you
extra
ta-
topic.
All right, sounds good.
I did write an extra topic because
I forgot.
I didn't know what
honestly.
Jefim was going to do. I didn't know what
It's
Jefim was
all
going
right.
to do, so I ended up writing an extra topic. So
John has got a lot on his plate this episode.
this is
forgot.
not one of them. But who's got a next topic? Who's got a next topic?
Mark does.
Whoa.
Rock and roll.
Bam.
Rock and roll.
So week 11 starts tonight, as we've already been talking about, with the Bengals and Ravens currently playing while we record this very episode. Much to all of our surprise, the Bills are trailing the Dolphins in the AFC East, and the AFC North is the best division of football with everyone above 500 as of this taping. The Chiefs and Jags lead the divisions as expected. Meanwhile, in the NFC, the Lions are the bells of the ball atop the NFL North, and no one seems to want to win the NFC South as no one is above 500 again as of this taping. Finally, the Eagles and Niners lead their divisions as expected, although Seattle is also tied for the lead in the NFC West. Now, with no clear front runner in either conference, there are clearly no automatics leading into the playoffs, except for maybe the Giants and Patriots, who are definitely not making it in. So, everyone, are we confident at all about who's making the Super Bowl, and who do we think will represent each conference?
So this is just real quickly, which may influence people's decisions. We just got a updated report from pregnant sideline reporter Stephanie Ford-Stephan that Joe Burrow has been declared out for the game with his wrist
With a
slash
giant-ass
injury.
hand?
Yes, that's the official diagnosis.
I mean, when your hand is the size of your head,
And
it's
on a
pretty
doubleheader
hard
week,
to throw a
so
football.
fuck my life.
Yes. Sorry, John. The Bengals and John's fantasy playoffs have been dashed.
I had a shot this year. Sad panda. Well, I mean, the Bengals were playing under their value, honestly. I mean, Joe Burrow's been kind of injured all season.
Oh, sorry. Another pregnant sideline reporter, Stephanie Ford-Stephan. Urgent update. Lamar is seen limping in the last drive. They have a heating pad on his ankle, but he's still playing, just definitely playing hurt.
Like, made a cut and didn't get hit and just kind of collapsed. So those are always the worst ones. Always the worst.
Ooh.
I love how you give her
Yes.
her entire title.
Yes.
Anyway, back to
Okay, sorry.
back to topic.
Yes.
The Chiefs are hard to beat. I think the Eagles are hard to beat. I think the Ravens, as
Are
long
they?
as
Wait. All right.
I think the Eagles
First
are
of
hard to
all,
beat.
the Chiefs'
The
offense
Eagles.
is not quite up to snuff, and the Eagles' offense is also not quite up to snuff, and the Eagles' defense is also suspect this year. They've been winning just purely on grit and the fact that no one can really stop the brotherly shove. And the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes.
Let's think
I
about
think
the
both
seven-
teams are beatable.
let's look
I
at
think
the
both
7
teams are
win, let's
beatable.
just look
They
at the
are,
7 win
yeah.
teams, right? And there's not a lot of them anymore. If we look at the 7
No.
win teams, there's the Chiefs and the Ravens. And the Eagles have 8 and the Lions have 7. I think the Lions are going to honestly I would love
Please.
because the 7 and 2
You don't think so?
with the best offense in the NFC, I would love to see the Lions in the Super Bowl.
You
Love-
realize
I mean,
Jared
they've
Goff
never
is
been
not really
before.
that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, but Jameer Gibbs and
he's-
Amon-Ra
he's
St.
not. I
Brown
don't-
are that good.
Right.
are.
I don't think the Lions need that good of a quarterback play.
You could probably throw to the Lions, Mark.
I don't think so. I mean,
David Montgomery, David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs, probably the best 1-2 running backs maybe in the league.
Maybe.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown looks
Montgomery is the
unstoppable.
two,
Actually unstoppable.
He does look really good, yes.
And especially with Jefferson going down, probably the best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, but Jefferson's coming back soon.
Tyreek Hill?
No, he's not. He has one more week, and he's not going to come back. Promise you.
No, he has to come back.
I mean,
He's not going to come back.
I'm just thinking NFC.
He's going to come back eventually. He's going
to come back next season because he's going to not
come back next season.
He's not going to come back next week. He's on week 3.
Back.
He's on week 3. 21 days after his IR. He has one more week to come back. He's not playing this week. He has to play next week or he's not coming back.
He'll be fine.
I don't think so. And so, like, you think about it, though, there are a lot of weird teams, right, this season. The Vikings are a weird team that maybe the Vikings
are a weird team. Josh Dobbs.
Maybe the Vikings are good. And the Texans, you guys, the Texans might make something happen. So, I mean, I would probably feel really bored for a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl. But I think it's going to be... But a Lions-Texans Super Bowl? Fuck yeah, I'm in for that.
That would be good to watch, but I think it's going to be Ravens and Niners.
I would never call watching Patrick Mahomes a boring Super Bowl. That dude's a magician.
But the same fucking thing. It's the same.
But I was going to say, I think you're leaving.
Did you get sick of the Patriots and Giants facing each other Super Bowl?
I mean, I like beating them.
John, I think you're leaving out, and I don't like saying this, as a Giants fan, but the Cowboys look pretty good. The Cowboys look pretty good.
They just lost another They just lost another major defensive piece. Literally just.
I know. I saw they're still playing. This is the best they've been in a number of years.
I mean, they played the Giants twice already.
Mike McCarthy is on his way out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think...
Yes, they can beat up on the bad teams. They haven't really beaten that. I don't think they've beaten any good teams so far.
Yeah, I think Dallas has some of the similar problems of Buffalo is that, like, they can get all the talent in the world. They just don't have the coaching to actually create a game plan to beat the
Cowboys. The Cowboys are
league.
like the Dolphins. Like the both teams, very good at beating the bad teams. Not so very good about playing the good teams, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still think the Eagles look great, and I still think the Chiefs look great. And I was going to say Ravens until you guys just told me that Lamar Jackson is limping.
Yeah, I don't. He's not fine. He didn't come out of the game.
Fine.
Is he?
He's fine.
What's interesting about
though? I've actually been a stand for the 49ers all season. I feel like I don't know how Purdy is doing this, but I mean, he's doing it because
he hands the ball to Christian
ball
to Christian McCarthy, and he throws the
to
ball
Deebo Samuel
to Deebo Samuel or Brandon
Ayuk or one of the other 8
or
million
George Kittle. I mean, George Kittle with his beautiful
team.
flowing hair. Yes. I'd throw the ball to George Kittle.
I've seen his hair catch a ball by itself.
He's his hair catch a ball.
I don't know. But yes. Niners, Lions, Eagles. That's the entire NFC. AFC, honestly, it could be almost anybody, but as long as Lamar stays healthy, I would bet the Ravens. Yeah.
And we're
Chiefs and Niners are the odds-on favorite right now.
I don't think the Niners are going to make it, you guys.
I'll just point out, I think you guys called it out last season. So far, Lamar and the Ravens are following their same pattern every year. Lamar's great at the beginning of the season, gets hurt, and then sucks at the end of the season. So far, this sounds exactly like the pattern. I think you guys pointed that out last season. So.
Yeah, the Ravens
if Mark Andrews is out for a couple of weeks, I think they're in trouble.
Hurt. Yeah.
I think they're in trouble without Mark Andrews.
Henderson might be out for the rest of the year, according to that injury.
I know.
All right. Now, moving on.
Moving out. I'm moving out. Next topic.
All right, Billy Joel. Next topic. Next topic, Billy Joel.
All right. So I'm going to talk about an interesting news thing that happened this weekend. We're going to stay on the things we've been talking about. There's some unrest out of the New York Yankee camp. GM Brian Cashman took some shots at Giancarlo Stanton. While giving an interview at the GM meeting this week, struggling with what to do about Stanton, Cashman stated, but I'm not going to tell you he's going to play every game next year because he's probably not. He's going to wind up getting hurt again, more likely than not, because it seems to be part of his game.
Oh, no.
This, of course, drew a response from Stanton's agent talking about the mental and emotional pressures of playing in New York and generally just being kind of pissed off. All that being said, Stanton is a prime example of the problem in the Yankee front office over the last 10 years. He's been a mediocre addition and hasn't come big in any playoff games. Do you think Stanton is still good trade capital, or are they better without him?
Trade what?
Trade capital.
That's not what you said earlier.
I did.
Anyway,
Words are hard.
First
sometimes.
of all, going back to Brian Cashman, that man is acting like he's about to get fired.
He
by
is.
by saying words like that. Is he wrong?
No.
But no GM ever says that kind of stuff. Now, can Giancarlo Stanton still be a good player? By the way, he just turned 34. I did not realize that. I thought he was younger for that for some reason. He's getting up there. He's been on the Yankees
really
a lot
old,
longer.
though, for a baseball player.
No, not really, but for a power hitter, it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I think the problem with him, right, too, is that he is big and lanky, and I mean, he hasn't played really in the field for a number of years.
You know what
now.
I really thought what I think it is? It's the cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
He does not like the cold weather.
You want to know
usually he starts the season off horribly and he ends the season horribly, but the middle of the year, at least when he's been in New York, he's been great.
You want to know who knew that?
When he was in Miami the whole time? Yeah, everyone. I know.
Everyone. Especially
some
Sir Derek
freaking
Jeter,
heated
who was giggling
thermal
when he was like, "Hey, you
underwear.
guys want Giancarlo Stanton?"
That's by far the best move that Derek Jeter ever made was getting rid of Giancarlo Stanton.
Damn.
I mean, I'll just call out that the guy who made that trade that everyone knew was a bad idea is now the guy calling it out like he's some cool dude who's like, oh yeah, can you believe it? Look what I'm calling it. It's like, you knew this. This was all on paper. Giancarlo Stanton has never, I'm sorry, he came close twice, has never been healthy a full season in his career. This was known when he was on Miami as well. So he knew what he was getting when he traded for that guy. I'm sorry. So to call this out now, yeah, it's funny. It's fun to read about, but it's like, yeah, why did you trade for him then, Brian? You knew that. This is not news.
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton's career postseason average, 265, 11 home runs.
265 is higher than I thought it was.
Actually.
Completely average, completely uninteresting.
I would have believed 165.
I mean, he hit 133 in the 2022 playoffs.
John, nobody's
even declining from his average.
Oh God, John, nobody's trading for a player who hit 191 last season. Nobody, you're not getting anything for him. If you want to get rid of him, you have to release him at this point. And nobody's going to sign him.
You see how hard that, and the Yankees, by the way, Jeff was mentioning, are hard releasing players. They released 5 guys.
Damn.
5 guys in the beginning of the offseason.
Paying them to go away.
You're all fucking fired.
The way the contract and salary cap structure is in the MLB, are they
Salary
penalized for that?
caps.
Are there
Hilarious.
dead caps? I mean, I know there's no salary cap, but there's a soft cap, isn't there?
There's a
No.
luxury tax.
Luxury tax, okay.
Which the Yankees
No,
are perfectly
But
happy
it's like
with
a
paying.
soft cap, yeah.
No, but that's changed a lot in these years. And the Yankees have actually tried actively because the cap has become progressive now. So the idea is if you go over it 1 year, it's a certain amount, but every year you're over it after that, the tax gets higher and higher. So most teams don't do it for very long.
Okay.
That's happened over the last 5 years. So that's been a big change. That's why the Yankees have scaled back their payroll. That's why the joke is
actually.
Yeah, that's why the joke is the Mets essentially we blew the luxury tax the last 2 years, and just because Uncle Steve is so rich, he's like, I don't care, I'll keep paying luxury tax.
Right.
So,
Maybe it's like, okay, let me take a year off now so I can reset the luxury tax.
But yeah, nobody's going to trade for Giancarlo Stanton, John.
I know. I really want them to release him because I think releasing Giancarlo Stanton really is like a kind of a sign. They're like, okay, we're serious about the rebuild. Let's get rid of all of this dead weight. Because it's us dead weight. Every day,
Bobby Bonilla contract.
Every day Stanton plays, every game, he's going to
be like 500 years.
He's going to get maybe one hit, maybe one extra base hit. I mean, he's not useful. He's not a useful player. He doesn't play the field. I mean, all these guys, these power right-handers.
He strikes out a lot.
He strikes out a lot. All terrible.
Yeah.
I agree.
And he's also the guy who you were referencing, if I remember correctly, Mark. He his actual name, he lied about his name.
Mike Stanton.
His name was originally Mike Stanton, and he also lied about his age, which a lot of the players from Latin America do this. This is a common thing. There was a couple.
No one really knows how old Alfonso Soriano really is.
Yep, exactly.
Love me some Fonzie.
So I'm just calling it out because, let's just keep this guy in mind who he is. I mean, he's been this way his whole career.
Mm.
All right. Who's the next topic?
We're pretty much good.
Bashing the Yankees is kind of fun. We can do this.
Hey, man, I am being a really respectable reporter, and anytime my teams are bad, I have to talk about them.
You are totally unbiased, John.
Totally unbiased. Totally and completely.
All right, guys, give me a next topic.
Oh, that's good.
That was a good.
So
one.
since John stole my original third topic, we're going to go on to the next one. Now, while watching the news earlier this week, I came across a story about 3 generations of women within the same family who are using psychedelics to help combat their anxiety in Colorado, where psychedelics like mushrooms have been legal for a year now. In fact, more and more studies seem to be supporting the use of psilocybin and ketamine. The Journal of Psychoactive Drugs reported that psychedelics were effective in a reduction of symptoms in up to 80% of participants in certain studies. So picture this, and this is the part that ChatGPT did. A therapy session that's less Freudian couch, more cosmic journey. It's a blend of science and 60s flair, proving that sometimes the best medicine might be a trip to inner space.
Ooh, that was a good movie, by the way.
So everyone, what are our thoughts on using psychedelics to help with anxiety and depression?
I mean, I think it's proven to be a pretty reasonable thing to do. Microdosing has been around for a really long time. Jefim, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I know people who microdose who really, really swear by it.
I mean, yeah, as long as it's something that can be controlled and not cause long-term addiction, sure.
I don't even think it's addictive.
And
Is it
that's the
addictive?
one thing, like that well,
I don't know. They may not
that's
be,
to
right.
be that's to be seen. No one has studied the long-term effects of psychedelics.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no conclusion for any kind
We
of
live in a
risk
society, right, who for the last 30 years thought that marijuana was a bad drug.
Yeah.
And it's not.
well, they didn't think that. That's just what they told us.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who did prison time for selling weed.
Oh yeah, no,
there are still people
That's still in prison. Yeah.
And I mean, the fact of it is that it is probably less damaging and less negative than alcohol. It's been illegal forever.
Yeah. I mean, so I'll just start my comment by saying, full disclosure, I've technically been against the war on drugs for as long as I can remember. I don't personally use anything, but like I've felt it's a complete farce. And as far as I'm concerned, we should legalize all drugs. I have a pretty extreme. So I'm calling this out so y'all know.
Maybe not all drugs.
I'm just stating so everyone understands my stance when I say what I'm about to say. And my feeling is treat them like sin taxes, tax them, and that way they become a net negative. They go from a net negative on society and our budgets, at the local, state, and federal levels, to a net positive, so that we can actually put together programs that could potentially help people who do struggle with addiction. All that said, so that's where I come from. There is a lot of growing research. You guys already said it on psychedelics. It's amazing. And honestly, the work that I'm most familiar with is, my brother is a veteran. And I know he's talked to me about a number of the programs where they are trying this out, especially with PTSD and helping veterans kind of deal with and manage the symptoms of that. Supposedly the effects are like, when you use it, and specifically, let me be clear, it's not just like taking it and being like, hey, I'm cured. It's a whole guided method, right? You take it along with therapy, and it's a guided process where it supposedly kind of helps you reset the pathways in your brain. That's at least the current science on it. And I don't know, guys, I don't know where you all stand. I think that's pretty cool. Anything that can help. I mean,
and I just said it in the chat. Will mentioned, can commercial antidepressants, anxiety drugs be controlled and not cause long-term damage? I mean, there are a lot of FDA-approved drugs that are known now to have caused damage. I mean, look at the oxycodone epidemic. I mean, oxy killed a lot of people, and it was FDA
that's
approved.
one of the worst ones. Well, wasn't the Fall of the House of Usher show on Netflix kind of like a homage to that problem?
They talked about
it was a Halloween
their
horror show, but
it was based on works of Edgar Allan Poe, but they were pretty much talking about the oxycodone family. And there have been a number of families, a number of shows, Painkiller on Netflix, that have been talking about. I think there was some probably NDA that expired this past year because there's like 3 or 4 or 5 shows about it. But that family purposefully got heroin approved by the FDA essentially, and then marketed it with pretty girls. I mean, if you talk about the ethical warnings of
scandalous.
Big business being scandalous. So controlling drugs or not controlling drugs, I think abuse and people with addiction problems are the thing that has to be attacked and not the drugs themselves. I agree mostly with Jefim, honestly.
Yeah, that matters a lot more. I mean, I don't know if I would like have a your local neighborhood heroin dispensary on the corner of the street.
But heroin's a negative drug. Heroin is not psilocybin.
But
it is not marijuana. Those are different things we're talking about.
Right. When it comes to drugs that are honestly like not proven to be as dangerously addictive and can be naturally grown, like those kind of things, right? I mean, I don't see why
it's not meth.
Other than some politically motivated reason, and to withhold that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other alternative models out there around drug addiction and how to deal with it. I would just say, a lot of these drugs are being used today. They're causing huge problems. I understand the fear, right, with what I said. And, that obviously sounds scary, right? It's like, oh my God, there's a heroin dispensary. That said, I know there's models in Portugal, for example, where they're realizing like, hey, this war on drugs and addiction isn't working. Yeah. So their whole model has shifted and they're actually following, I believe it's Switzerland also uses it, this model where they say, hey, come in and get the heroin, but we're going to help you, right? You'll sit in a chair. We'll give it to you essentially to make sure you're not overdosing. And then you can go about your day. As crazy as that sounds and that scares people, it prevents people from overdosing and it at least puts them in a controlled setting. So it's just rethinking the whole model. I'm not saying that fixes everything. I'm just giving an example of an alternate model that I think like we need to start to think about. And psychedelics, I mean, the reasons they were outlawed in the first place were crazy. I mean, if you just read, it was basically like they just got grouped in with all these other drugs when there was research happening that's saying, hey, some of these seem like they have positive effects, right? They actually do help people. So I don't know, Mark, I know you asked the question originally. I'm personally like all for anything that can help those conditions. Anxiety, depression, these are brutal, lifelong diseases that are just very, very horrible to deal with. And if we have a tool in our arsenal that can help with that, I'm all for it.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like the only reason they were blocked in the first place is because of some politician or some political party or corporation or some, businessman that was like, I can't profit off this, so I'm going to get it off the streets.
I mean, I think
that's
sell
just my highly profitable alternative thing that I can corner the market.
Well, yeah, look how many people love marijuana now that they can profit off it with the taxes, right?
Let's just step back for a second. I mean, we as a society have been learning about everything, not just science and technology, but about medicine and botany, and we just continue to get better at things as a population of people. And the idea that marijuana is beneficial, the idea that psilocybin is beneficial is a new thought. It's not an old thought. And so maybe they just didn't know, because honestly, we were pretty stupid 100 years ago. Even 50 years ago, we were pretty stupid comparatively, right?
Yeah. I mean, all I can say, guys, is the ayahuasca did wonders for Aaron Rodgers. So,
Jefim, do you have any thoughts about Aaron Rodgers' magical flask that he spilled on the field last week? Do you have any thoughts?
Yes, what was in the potion?
I heard you guys talk about it. All I'll say is like Aaron Rodgers is just a weird dude.
Like that looks like something out of the like Legend of Zelda, like Link's inventory just like fell out of his case there. Like what is that?
Yeah.
Out of time, my friends. Somebody do the thing with the people and the stuff.
Hey, baby, do you want a next topic?
Right into the next topic. Okay.
So, Mark, can I talk about it? Are you going to talk about it? I don't mind you asking the question, but it has to happen.
I didn't write it, so you talk. You do it.
So it's time, you guys. Jeffim's on the show, so we have to talk about Marvel. Has to happen. All right, so none of you should be surprised that Jamie, my daughter, and I saw the Marvels this past weekend. The news out of the weekend, however, is that the movie didn't do so good. And my question is that we and everyone I have spoken to saw the movie was good. It was a good film. And so with a $47 million, which is honestly laughable, domestic opening weekend, the Marvels had the lowest opening weekend in MCU history, even under the 2008 film, not the good one, the bad one, The Incredible Hulk. So my friends and I aren't the only group that thinks this, with the current Rotten Tomatoes critics score of 61%, but an audience score of 84%. And so with opening scores in the mid-50s, the consensus is that overly critical scores as well as a lack of press and trailers due to the actor strike really sunk the Marvels. In the post-Endgame landscape, it has become the meta, too, of critics to be overly critical of superhero films. So I, for one, enjoyed the Marvels, like I said, and was excited about going to it. Why do you think it flopped? And can superhero films regain their former glory?
Don't you love how something that made $47 million in a weekend is a flop?
Yeah, but it costs $300 million. It costs $300 million to make.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. They may not make back that money that they spent to make the thing in the first place.
As John alluded, I did this topic as well, and I was doing it essentially. I was blaming the actor strike. So keep in mind, when movies come out, especially big blockbuster films, it's a marketing juggernaut. Just about all the actors are going on late night shows or morning shows, and they're just talking about the movie the whole time. Meanwhile,
And they couldn't.
so the actor strike prevented them to do that. It ended right before the weekend. Now, so the only way that they could really promote the movie was through commercials. And how many of us watch commercials?
Even the trailers, by the way, the trailers for this film, not full trailers. They were recap trailers because they couldn't make new trailers for the film.
Right.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that was part of it, too.
Yeah.
Damn.
So did it have something to do with the actors? I mean, this kind of proves why they have to do those big marketing plans of all of the cast going out and promoting the movie, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting in late night shows, just...
So this movie, by the way, and Jefim and I won't get that much into
interviews.
it, like, we could really ruin a lot of things. So we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty
no
potatoes of
spoilers.
this
I didn't
film.
see it. I
However,
plan on seeing it, I think.
I have a
sometime
question
this
for
weekend,
Jefim.
though.
It's a top 5 Marvel film for me. What do you think?
Okay, I can't say that.
Well, did
I
you at
would
least
say
enjoy it, Jefim?
How is it compared to the
we
original,
did.
John?
The
Do you
original
like it
Captain
compared to
Marvel?
the original?
This
The
was
original
not.
Captain Marvel.
This was not a sequel. This was a pickup on
Okay.
the current state of the characters in the MCU.
It just happened to have Captain Marvel in it.
just happened to have Captain Marvel in it.
It's like an ensemble kind of
John,
movie,
that's-
yeah.
Top 5 is
Okay,
pretty
top
bold,
10. Top 10.
I honestly put it in more of the middling movies in Marvel, but I definitely did not think it was. I don't
It's
think
the
it was in,
best
like, the
thing out of
bottom.
Phase 5, and maybe the best thing out of Phase 4 and Phase 5. I mean, and that's not saying a lot, but
Yeah, I mean, Phase 5 is just that's okay.
it's as good as Widow. Widow was my of the modern movies. The Phase 4, Phase 5 movies. That was my favorite. Easily as good as Widow.
I don't think I agree with that because there were a lot of more emotional moments. There were moments in this film that I thought like they were kind of poorly done. There were I like you said, without going into details, there were clear emotional moments. I guess what I would say about it, it was a fun film. I enjoyed it. There were emotional parts in the movie that should have hit harder, and they didn't because they were not earned. They were not set up appropriately, in my opinion.
I could see that.
I see that with a big problem with writing and
I
movies and
think
shows lately.
that the thing that Marvel needs to focus on, which I think this movie did, is charismatic young actors. And I think that Aman Vellani is as charismatic as Homecoming Tom Holland was. I think she's as good as he was.
I heard she kind of stole the show.
She did.
She definitely stole the show. She
100%.
was like, honestly, I mean, going off what you guys said though, right? This movie had a lot of challenges, right? It was pushed back multiple times. They had to do multiple reshoots because each time they tried to put it out there, the audience score was terrible. And in those focus groups they do, I think you can almost feel it had a lot of bad press going into it. And some of it legitimate. Not all of it was bull. Like the director did just walk away in post-production, which is very weird. Like, right? I mean, that was not bull. She did do that. And also just being blunt, like you can feel it. She was an inexperienced director and you can feel that in the film. So I think, Mark, I agree with you. The writer strike, absolutely. No question. Like the inability to market this thing appropriately, huge part of it. I think the idea was pushed back. That was a big one. I don't think it was I don't agree with you, John. I don't think it was that good a film, but it was fun. It was enjoyable. It was not as bad as, certainly I agree with your premise.
It wasn't
It's
as
not
bad as Incredible Hulk from the
It's-
2008 with
no.
Hulk poodles.
No,
Remember
it
Hulk,
was a
the Hulk
fun-
poodles?
I still haven't seen that one.
Wait, was this the Eric Bana version or the Ed Norton
The Eric
version?
Bana
Norton
version.
did.
Okay.
Oh,
2008.
really?
Because I like the Eric Bana one.
2008 was a bad film.
No, no, I thought 2008 was the.
That was
Maybe
the
it was
Norton
Norton
one.
because
version.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2008 was Norton.
2012 is
Norton and Liv
Avengers.
Tyler.
The Eric Bana one was 03.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
old.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
We're really old. That was
I
20
think
years ago.
another problem with this film, which I didn't necessarily mind, but probably some people did, is that Darben, Zoe Ashton, who is Tom Hiddleston's wife now, was not that threatening.
She was a very forgettable villain.
And
what's
Darben,
sad
as a
is she had such
character,
good story.
to jump in the back pages of Marvel Comics, is a base. She's a B-side at best, honestly.
Yeah. I mean,
That's too bad.
I thought I was disappointed though because they didn't develop her at all, John. Like that
No, she was just
another
all of a
thing.
sudden the big bad.
She's a big bad. You don't understand her. You sort of understand her motivation, but like there's so much more development that could
They
have happened there.
explain it ish at the end of the film, but it's kind of a throwaway explanation.
Yeah.
That's surprising for Marvel because they're usually so good at three-dimensionalizing
They've been
the
really
villain,
struggling with big bads.
right?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Like making you sympathize with the villain characters.
And-
And that's been Marvel's shtick forever.
Here's the thing about the Phase 5 big bad, who is still going to be Kang the Conqueror. And they did a little bit of a better job. If you finish Loki season 2, they explain him a little more.
Oh, yeah.
But what I think is they're being a little too cerebral. And the thing I've been saying where he is affecting things in the background, like kind of an imperfect narrator, he's affecting the timeline and the characters. They don't really realize things are changing, but things are changing. They've kind of talked about now that that's happening, but it's so slow. The burn is so slow.
And John, I just want to build on that. The other thing I think this film really struggled with, in all Marvel, this is not unique to their film. If you guys remember back in like 2008, 2010, 2011, there was the same characters kept appearing in the movies, right? Like you had Iron Man again, you had Iron Man again, you had Captain America again. I'm talking about like Iron Man 2, Captain America, Thor, the Avengers. You kept seeing the same characters year after year, and as a result, it kind of kept you hooked. The last time we talked about Captain Marvel was 2019, 4 years ago.
Endgame.
Yeah.
You know what else I read?
Right,
Going
yeah.
on that note, they are getting really bad at remembering their after credits. There's a lot of lost after credits that they've never, like threads that they've just never pulled on.
Yep.
So like the after credits are becoming throwaways too.
Yeah. It's almost like they lost focus. I don't know what else to say. They tried to put too many people in. I mean, we talked about this last time. So
I think this song, the songbook, I think that they just got too big.
Yeah.
And we're out of time.
And
We're out of time. It's just time for the next topic, yeah?
Sorry, real quick before we jump to the next topic. Do I need to watch what shows do I have to watch to be prepared for this movie?
Nothing.
Okay, I
It
heard
doesn't talk-
WandaVision was a requirement.
You need to, honestly, you should probably watch
WandaVision.
Miss Marvel.
WandaVision, Miss
Oh,
Marvel,
Miss Marvel,
and
right.
and honestly, a little bit of technically, and I say this, I'm sorry to say this. Technically, you should also maybe watch Secret Invasion. There's a little bit of
Because
that
of
in there,
Fury.
too.
Yeah, Fury's in
Yeah,
it, right?
it's
he's
Fury,
back
but it's also the Skrulls and
Is Samuel
Yeah.
Jackson a badass in it? Because I'd be
No,
fine with it.
Secret
if that's-
Invasion is very missable, and honestly,
Ugh.
you already understand the Skrulls from what you know from Captain Marvel. I don't think you need to watch Secret Invasion. You do need to watch Miss Marvel. You wouldn't understand anything if you don't watch Miss Marvel.
Okay.
that's fair.
Add it to my list.
Well, and WandaVision.
And
WandaVision, you
WandaVision.
need to understand Photon. You need to understand Photon's character.
I think that'll
yes.
be next now that I finished Chernobyl. All right.
Yes.
Someone did the next topic, right?
I did. I did a German thing.
All right. So it was announced earlier this week that the first human eye transplant was completed in New York. Now, this was part of a partial face transplant done 6 months ago. Excuse me. All right, I'll start over.
Okay.
So it was announced earlier this week that the first human eye transplant was completed in New York. This was part of a facial. Oh my God.
Mark,
You got this, Mark.
you're a
We believe
professional.
in you.
I haven't done this in a while. So it was announced earlier this week that the first human eye transplant was completed in New York. This was part of a partial face transplant done 6 months ago on the victim of a high voltage electrical accident that affected most of the left side of his face. Now, it has been reported that blood vessels around the eye are functioning, but no vision in the eye has come about just yet. Now, surgeons are still hopeful as they've harvested adult stem cells and injected them into the optic nerve during the transplant. So, everyone, what are our thoughts on the first whole eye transplant?
I think we're waiting with bated breath to see if it fully works, right?
Right. It'll be completely miraculous if he regains his vision.
I mean, that's like Nobel Prize worthy if it works.
I mean, did you research into how they're actually merging with the optic nerve and making the brain read the new signals? It
really
seems
complicated.
like science fiction, honestly.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But if it works, it's kind of amazing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting.
The fact that they even attempted it. I mean, so the guy, oh god, the post-accident pre-surgery pictures are a little bit gruesome, but after the post-surgery pictures, I mean, it looks pretty good. Hopefully, he will regain his vision.
Can he control his muscles and everything in his head can control the eye, and he just can't see?
Oh wow. So yeah, suppose there is some kind of muscle function in there, and like I said, so the blood vessels around the eye are working.
That's right. That's the difference between at least it looks nice to holy shit, this is a breakthrough in medical technology of the century.
I mean, cautious optimism.
Because
this is I don't know. This is if they pull this off and they're successful, there's so many people this could potentially help.
Absolutely.
I mean, so people who are, I mean, obviously the where my mind went, I don't know about you guys, was immediately, hey, the folks that are affected, from birth, right? They're blind from birth, and being able to help them at some point, to give them sight. I mean, that would be incredible. But there are lots of people who are affected by all kinds of conditions where they go blind later in life, and being able to somehow fix that. I mean, we've already come so far. The things we can do with artificial lenses are incredible. So this is just an awesome next step. And, you combine this with Neuralink and Elon Musk, and, then we've got, what's it, Deus Machina, and you've got, eye implants and everything else. So we're just one step from that now.
I'd be down for an AR heads-up display, for sure. I mean, can we just jump to the ethical implications of eye transplants?
Sure.
I mean, is there a limit? Okay, just play devil's advocate. Is there a limit to what we should do as humanity? I mean,
we're already creating artificial intelligence. Why not?
I mean, it's not artificial intelligence, so that's not what that is.
There's also...
I'm saying you're talking about upper boundaries. I mean, we cloned a sheep and people were all up in arms about that. What if we start cloning humans?
There's also certain animals that are being harvested for their organs so that they could be used for organ transplants.
Yeah.
And then
talk about ethics.
Is a
that's a little shady.
Is a biological eye a better solution than a mechanical one? If we're getting to a place where in a perfect world we can interface with the optic nerve in a way that is appreciable, right? I mean, who says we can't put bionic eyes in people? Which would be awesome, by the way. I'd be down for a bionic eye.
I could see avenues for both, and it may depend on the type of injury or the type of person's brain. We may get to a point where they could say hey, you have the right qualifiers for your neuron function where a natural eye transplant is the way to go. Or
that's pretty cool,
the natural
right?
eye won't work, but the bionic one will, right? I could see both working.
Then what do you put in a bionic eye? Do you put binocular vision?
Obviously, X-ray vision and infrared and
infrared. Switch to infrared. Do you have to hit your head when you switch to infrared?
Yeah, it's double. It's like Bluetooth.
Will
earphones,
says lasers.
Long tap for lasers.
I love it. I mean, I love it. That sounds awesome. I'm just we as a species. I mean, and we know this. We need to improve because that's what evolution is. We improve or we die. So I think that we should try to get better, and we should try to survive and improve for sure. But what's the limit, I guess, is my question.
It's just killing me that this conversation is flowing perfectly into what Elon Musk feels is oh, we have to evolve and we need to merge with technology and Like
That's why I
it is
brought
playing
it- that's
perfectly
why I
into
brought
like
it up.
everything he has said.
That's
Oh,
why I brought
no.
it up. Because it's crazy. It's so
Isn't this
crazy.
like what happened to the Borg in Star Trek or something?
I
They just
mean,
turned into a giant metal cube, and they're like, "Now we are one."
We're out of time. On the Borg. We're out of time on the Borg. I love it.
I don't know. I don't like that. I think we should end with what Jefim said.
I don't know about that, but
All right.
we
Give me
are
next
the
topic,
Borg.
gentlemen.
Yes.
We are the Borg. You will be assimilated into
Next
the next
topic.
topic.
Nice. Nice. All right. And just because it won't be pertinent later, the sports gods do know how to make an exit. Soccer megastar Megan Rapinoe's soccer career has come to a painful, ironic end. Rapinoe, 38, bowed out early in the final game of her professional soccer career Saturday due to injury in the league final between her team, the OL Reign, and the Gotham Football Club. These are the female teams, obviously. Rapinoe, who announced her retirement in July, shared after the match that she believes she tore her Achilles, sharing that she heard a loud pop in her leg after a non-contact injury in the 3rd minute of the game. So after such a career, multiple Olympic victories, what a lame way to go out. And I just kept thinking about the Black Widow, like, this is not a cool way to die. And so, what do we think about this injury? Megan Rapinoe, before, still playing at such high level at 38. And what's next for the superstar?
All right. First of all, it's for Pino,
I don't care.
not Rapinoe. And listen, so her career, I mean, listen, she's gonna go down as a legend. She's won 2 World Cups, and I mean, it could be argued whether or not she really deserved to be on the last World Cup team. Unfortunately, she did miss that penalty kick, and they were out in the first round of the knockout round. So I mean, but she's done a lot for the game. She helped women get equal pay. The women's team get equal pay than the men,
That's
which,
huge, yeah.
to be honest, I think they should be getting paid more than the men just because they actually win.
Probably better ratings too. Actually,
They probably get better ratings. But and what's next for Megan Rapinoe is etch that in your skull.
It's
Not going to work.
I mean, she's still gonna be in the limelight. She's very big with social causes, so she's definitely not gonna fall out of the eye. Now we'll see, and who's her significant other?
Sue Bird.
Sue Bird, also a legend in her sport. So let's see if those 2 women, I think, have talked about ownership of a sports franchise. If they're not already, I could be wrong. They might have been. They have.
Do they live in
some kind
Seattle? Would they purchase this
I believe
farm
they
either?
live in Seattle. Well, I believe they have some stake. They may or may not have some stake in the Los Angeles team that's coming up,
Okay.
or
That's pretty cool,
that's already
though.
there. So
I mean, as
we'll see.
big figures in diversity in sports and women's sports, but sports in general, I would love to see them own a team. That would be great.
Yeah.
I would love to see her do announcing. That would be great. I mean, there's a lot of things obviously she can do as being like a major name. We're going across the news articles this week and watching her kind of just peter out of her career was sad, I think, a little bit.
It's kind of a sad way to end a career, right?
Right.
On a career-ending injury.
But
I mean,
you
what
can't control those things sometimes.
What comes to mind is Joe Theismann.
Yeah.
Joe Theismann
Oh,
broke
yeah.
his leg at the end of his career. And the only difference was Joe Theismann still had probably plenty more years to play.
This was
Rapinoe was
officially
definitely at the
her
end of
last
her year.
game, being the finals of her last official season.
Yeah.
Didn't it
Yeah.
end Bradshaw's career too?
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's very rare that a sports figure ends their career well.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all
true.
Yeah.
I mean, almost all of them stay too long. Almost all of them, something happens. That said, I mean, I do feel like watching that was pretty sad. I watched a video of what happened and her like tearing the Achilles, and you could see she knew immediately, and
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, that's
She knew, right? She heard it. She's like,
Yeah.
"Yep, that's it."
it. Although For some reason, it reminded me of Mariano Rivera
Yeah.
when he said it was going to be his last season, and he's shagging fly balls and he blows his knee out, and then he decides like, no, I'm going to make next year the year, and he came back and played again.
He was okay.
And he was okay. Yeah, he was definitely at the tail end of his
Okay.
career, but at least he got his farewell tour. I
Do
don't
you
know.
think Rapinoe would do the same thing, change her mind, or no?
No.
I don't
She's
think.
done.
I mean, the difference is she said she announced she was retiring because clearly her skills were
Yeah.
fading.
It just fell off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm getting at is like there are so many players you can name where that happened, right? I mean, the most recently I hit another sport. Tom Brady probably played 1 year too many. I mean, he was terrible
1 year
that last
too
year.
many.
They almost
disagrees,
every
by the
great
way.
player does. Okay, well, I'm just giving recent examples, but I think you can go back in history and find
Yeah.
so many of these where the players just plays a little too long and
Sure.
and fades out, right? Burns out, or fades away rather than burns out. So it's always hard to watch.
Yeah, but I mean, life goes on for these famous
Yeah.
players. I mean, like she could be the real life Ted Lasso's Roy Kent, kind of post his career, right?
Yeah.
She could.
I don't see
coach.
her as a diamond dog. I don't see her as a
Okay,
diamond dog.
well, maybe not, but
Well, and it doesn't change what the achievements she had in her career. To be clear,
No.
right? It doesn't change anything.
no,
Jefim, I think you're right. I think she's going to be an announcer.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
and I don't think I said that.
I thought
Yeah,
you said
I'm
that.
No,
Someone
that
said
was
that.
me.
John
Said that. All right. I knew someone
Well,
said
While
it.
having co-ownership in the Seattle Storm. That sounds great.
Either
Mark,
way,
you're right.
she-
That was a great idea. I'm glad I said that.
Yes,
she could do
good.
a
It was a
lot
good
of-
idea, Jefim.
Yes,
Thank
she
you.
could do a lot of good as a very outward spokesperson, ambassador to the game, especially for the U.S. Right, to keep it relevant, keep it popular.
Yeah, I agree. I think
All
we're
right, ready?
That's a good way to end it. Yeah.
good. Let's do it.
And this will be a good way to start the next topic
Perfect. Wonderful.
And
Love
next,
an update from official pregnant sideline reporter Stephanie Ford Steffen, where OBJ earlier in the game was seen leaving the field and getting an X-ray on his left shoulder. We don't know the outcome of that, but the game's over, so I guess we'll get an update pending. I'll
Wow.
report back when I hear
he
more.
also had his first 100-yard receiving game in like 4 or 5 years or something.
Yeah,
like
he
that.
hit a 50-yard play.
it. Side note:
Anyway,
new RB1 for the Baltimore Ravens. Gus Edwards scored me 20 points with 2 touchdowns on the ground.
It's nice to see him healthy.
Nice to see him healthy.
And
Tripped
hey,
into an RB1.
Keaton Mitchell, who I drafted in our Dynasty League only because his name backwards was kind of like Michael Keaton. that was literally my reason for drafting him. Is
High five.
doing pretty well, actually. He's had some pretty big gainers and is making it hard for me to tank this season because he's been winning me games.
all right, moving on.
Anyway,
Moving
It's time
out.
for my favorite segment, quick shots to your balls.
Oh!
Although in all honesty, it's an excuse to unload random topics I've written over the course of the season. Now, I will ask these quick fire questions that everyone will give their first impression. Is everyone ready?
Hell yeah.
yes.
Should we read into players like Steven Strasburg and Miles Jack retiring early in their careers?
No.
No, Barry Sanders did it.
Yeah, I would say no.
Okay. Thoughts on Adam Jones and Adam Wainwright retiring and only playing for one team?
It's a
Rare these days, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Extremely rare.
I mean, I think
I don't know
that's
if-
great, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Especially
call it
long
admirable.
careers. Yeah.
They've had some long careers too, yeah.
I mean, and you
As
think
long
about
as
it,
it-
right? And you literally just said it. We don't want to think about the year that Michael Jordan was a Wizard
No, we
because that's
don't.
a dumb year.
It was
And
actually
if,
2 years.
right? And if
I mean-
Derek Jeter ever wasn't a Yankee, that would feel wrong.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as those players made bank financial, to set themselves up post career on that one team. Because sometimes that can be tough, right? Like
Or
players
Tom-
don't always
I
get
mean,
the big contract if they stay with the team. That's why
Brady
they
won a
leave.
Super Bowl with the Bucks, but should a Brady have been a Buck? Probably not.
Hey, he got another
but
Super Bowl out of it.
When you think of Brady, you're not going to think of the Bucks. You're going to think of the Patriots.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, of course.
I think it's great. Adam Wainwright. Like when I think of the Cardinals, at least in my lifetime, it's Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina. Those are the two guys I think
And
of.
Albert Pujols.
Pujols less though because he left. Like
He's a Cardinal. He'll always be a Cardinal in my eyes.
Mm,
How we remember Miguel Cabrera's career. One of the greatest hitters of all time, right?
Yeah, I will say fondly, like he's one of the greatest.
He won the Triple Crown.
Yeah, the dude is an incredible hitter. Like I
Never won a title though.
know.
Do our thoughts on Shohei change, and will his contract money be different after tearing his pec this season?
Yeah. Of course.
I
I mean,
don't
he's
know.
at the end of the day, he's a commodity, and he is a less valuable commodity now being injury prone.
Jeff, do you agree?
He's still going to make a fortune.
I think he's still going to make a fortune.
Is this his first major injury? Because I feel like he'll get an excuse for
Sorry, he'll probably only make $500 million as opposed to $750 million.
Well,
Exactly.
I guess that being said, baseball owners make a lot of bad decisions, and signing Shohei will sell a lot of tickets. So who knows?
It will, yeah. And I mean, it may delay his fortunes, but I don't think it's going to stop him.
He's only injury prone pitching. He's still an amazing hitter, and he's going to get paid. I'm with Mark. He's going to get paid, no question.
All right. Should Tua get a big long-term deal after this season?
Yes.
He's stayed healthy and played phenomenally. Mark doesn't think so.
How can you not think that
Tua is only good?
A billion touchdowns is bad for a quarterback.
That's great. That Tua can beat the bad teams. He can't beat a good team. I'm sorry. That does not deserve the big contract. So it's been proven that he's really good at going to his first or second option. After that, he's like, I don't know what to do.
Oh, so he's Fitzmagic.
No, Fitzmagic
that was his
knew
thing, right?
exactly what to do.
Patrick was the same thing.
No, at least Fitzmagic would like throw it in the air really long. Tua just stands there.
I think
Hold on, Fitzpatrick knew what to do. His arm didn't do the thing that his brain wanted
Pete
it
just said this
do.
maybe a week or two ago, and a quarterback like Brady, a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes is going to make a middling receiver better. He's going to have that like 1 second faster reaction time to make a middling offensive line better, and a quarterback like Danny Dimes doesn't.
Is he worth more or less than Danny Dimes?
And then when you think about it too, more than Danny Dimes. When you think about it too, these middling quarterbacks on good teams that are getting made better, like I think that Justin Jefferson make Kirk Cousins look better, right? I mean, I think that probably Amon-Ra St. Brown is making Jared Goff look like a fucking superhero, right? Yeah. Because he's just that good. So
still need good receivers.
I think that, I used to say this about the track. A jockey can make a horse lose, but a horse generally can't make a jockey win, right? Or both of them, right? You're never going all the way. A bad player in a position will bring down a good player in another position. They will always, every time.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Now, Patrick Mahomes on the recent Manning cast admitted that he wears the same underwear for every pair of the game, every game that he plays. Now he does wash them in between, but
oh god, I hope so.
But athletes have some crazy ass superstitions, and I want to know what superstitions do we have, or did we used to have?
I used to, one of the first things Melanie got me was a block of wood. And it was really cool, actually. She sanded it down and she put it on a keychain because I used to knock on wood all the time. I still do. This was one of the nicest things she ever did. I was just like, wow, this is really like thoughtful and stuff. So yeah, I knock on wood all the time. I cross myself in front of when I go by cemeteries all the time.
Yeah, I remember that story.
I generally, I'm probably a little OCD involved with this. I used to count the stuff that I had in my pockets, make sure.
You know what show I've been re-binging lately is Monk.
Yeah, that's a good show. I don't know. Superstition and OCD in general is a funny thing that it's fine as long as you're getting out of your house and you're not like missing out on your life. That's like the marker of mental illness. As long as it's not impacting your life, it's not a big deal.
All right, and final one. What sport that we haven't talked about yet should we discuss during the next episode?
Highlight.
Curling.
Curling.
Hey, we know somebody that plays it.
Yeah, highlight gambling is one of the most amazing things you'll ever do, by the way. Highlight is fucking cool as shit to watch.
I think you guys should talk about pickleball.
We already did.
We did.
You actually talked about pickleball?
I
Did
don't
I miss
remember
that?
this. When did this happen?
I think that was
when?
last season because that was the last time I asked this question. I think.
Okay.
Hey, Mark. Do you know what time it is?
Yeah. We are ready for the.
I mean, Pete, you could auto-tune that and,
Do it.
I-
Do
come
it,
up
Mark.
and-
There are technological
Do it!
limits to what I can do.
I
to
almost thought Jefim was going to sing it.
You should
Jefim,
sing
you want
it.
to do it?
I thought about it. You guys are too good, though.
It's the final topic.
And so we're going to go off script. I talked to Mark about this morning. In honor of Pete's last show, before he goes on his parental hiatus, we're going to do a question honoring Pete. So before your son arrives, like I said, we want to
Surprise!
dedicate a topic. Research suggests that sharing a passion for a team or a sport can foster emotional intimacy and mutual respect. And so I can guess we all grew up in fairly sports-centric households and fond memories and love for specific teams and traditions, definitely my memories. So guys, all of you, I wanted to ask, what is your favorite sports memory with your dad? And what are you the most excited, Jefim and Pete, to share with your sons?
So my dad and I, my dad was kind of the first person to introduce me to sports. He was a big Celtics fan, Boston Celtics, and he was the one that brought me to my very first Celtics game. It was kind of in like the nosebleed seats, but it was still very exciting to watch. And then I remember going to a game that was closer to the court, and I remember how these were $50. Right now, these tickets I think would be $300 to $400.
Yeah.
But they're $50 at the time, and this was a few years after I had my dad and I went to the first game, and I remember my mom was astonished at how big of a sports fan I had become, and was like, was like booing the other team, or like when they were at the free throw line, and I go boo, and my mom was like, that is so disrespectful. But my dad and I will always love the Celtics, and we still talk about it to this very day. There was a while that we were going to Celtics games every year. Unfortunately, we don't do that anymore, but it's definitely a tradition that I loved and cherished to this day.
So we did a lot. We went to a lot of Yankee games. We didn't go to a lot of Knicks games, but actually we bought a home season package, or like a quarter home season package for the Nets. It was easier to get into the Nets than it was the Knicks. So we went a bunch of Nets games.
And we're talking about that, yeah.
Saw the Nets play the Knicks. I think the one memory, though, that sticks out in my head is we also bought a quarter home package one year for the Yankees. We went a lot of Yankee games, and we would drive. And so this was in the old stadium. We used to drive up the Throgs Neck, and we used to park in the parking lot, fucking way far away. But we used to have this converted van. So we'd bring these crazy Italian sandwiches that my parents would make right outside, like olives and just like crazy meats, and it was awesome. So there's the one year we went to playoff games when we got this, I had to study for a test. I went to a really hard high school and I had to study for a final. So I was in the car, I was eating my weird sandwich, I was studying for like a math final before the game that they lost, by the way. Totally disappointing. But I remember that season, the only time my dad, really mild-mannered, the only time I've ever seen my dad mad at a stranger is we were up far, and these guys were so wasted, and they were spilling beer on everyone. And my dad literally stood up, and he was like ready to fight this dude. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? But
Sports Jerry is a different
Jerry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Tons of traditions, tons of superstitions. And I think that sports in general, like playing sports, playing CYO, was one of the things that, I mean, there's a few things that you can learn in sports, but sports is the only place you learn them, and I think that's really important for kids.
Yeah. Do you want to go, Jefim?
No, please. I mean, you guys are I can go.
Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
All right, sure. Okay.
You guys have to answer the second part of the question, though. Jamie doesn't like
Yes.
sports that much, so my time has passed.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, it's all good. I mean, hey, she likes wrestling. That is
It's so fun.
It's a sport.
It's so
Sure.
fun to watch wrestling with her.
So I remember as a kid, like growing up, there wasn't like one memorable Bills moment that I had. I mean, my dad did take me to a Bills game. Actually, it was against the Patriots in '91 season when they were expected to return to the Super Bowl, and they did. But yeah, I was in a giant blue snowsuit because it was like negative 50,000 degrees that
Amazing
game, but it was awesome.
Were you like
I
Randy
remember
from A
going-
Christmas Story and couldn't put your arms down?
Yeah. But I just remember him like my first, I think it was my first professional sports game ever was a Sabres versus the U.S. Olympic team exhibition match in the old War Memorial
Amazing.
Auditorium arena in Buffalo, which is now demolished. It was this like dark, dingy old hockey arena with an ice rink that was smaller than NHL regulation, but the Sabres played in it until 1996. Anyway, I had no idea as a kid like what I was watching, and anytime the Sabres would score, I was like, "Oh, that's my team from Buffalo." So I was just cheering and be like, "You suck!" to like the U.S. team. Because I didn't know, I was like 7. But I just still remember that it was such a cool experience. I was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" You know, that first feeling when your dad takes you or mom or whoever, you know, to this big game. And to this day in Bills games, when anytime the Bills are on defense, I still yell the same stuff my dad would say on the screen when I was a kid. He'd just be like yelling at the Bills, like somehow through the television, going, get him, like at the quarterback. I say the same thing.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
amazing.
What are you the most excited about? Obviously not this year or next year, but maybe when he's 6 or 8
Or
10.
yeah, or how old? Yeah, will your
Yeah,
son
I mean-
be before he goes to his first Bills or Sabres game?
right. I mean, it'll be in a different stadium than I went to as a kid, right? By that point, and Josh Allen may be retired by the time
No, he won't.
my kid is old enough. Well,
The
I mean,
thing
I
you
didn't
guys
really
are going to
get into
notice
football
too,
till I was 9 or 10,
which is actually
so-
really interesting, is kids are sponges, like really sponges. And so the thing that you remember saying the same stuff your dad did, like your sons will hear you and they will get excited over it. I saw Pete actually liked it. I saw the craziest video on Instagram today. This little boy is watching sports with his dad and he understands what a touchdown is. And so he puts his arms up, but
I
his
saw
dad is
that.
disappointed because it's the other team. So
Yep.
he sees his dad's disappointed and then he lays back and he's sad like his father. And it's so cute and so funny and so relatable.
I saw that. It's so adorable. Yeah,
Yep.
I showed that to Steph actually this morning, like yesterday or this morning. It was, I thought that was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll try to get him involved in it early. I think sports fandom is just a cool thing, and I mean, not just watching, but like playing too. I remember a lot of times in my backyard, my dad trying to teach me how to throw a football.
Mhm.
I mean, those are memories I still have, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. So I would say my memory for my dad was my dad's not a huge sports fan, but he was a Mets fan, and one of my earliest one of my first memories. My father's an electrician. I've mentioned that before.
Mm-hmm.
So he's part of the electrical union, and the electrical union had a box seats at Shea Stadium.
Cool.
And I was a fan of Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden, like all the famous 80s players. And my father, one year, there was a lottery, right? Like you couldn't just get these tickets. You had to apply and occasionally you'd get them. And I remember my dad got the tickets, the box seats at Shea Stadium, right on the field level. It was amazing. And at the time we couldn't have afforded anything like that. And I remember going to that game and I remember just seeing all the players my first time at Shea, the whole 9 yards. It was a really cool experience. I was very young, but it was a cool experience. In terms of sharing with my son, I think I'm really excited to share the Mets with him. Like I already got him a Mets onesie,
Nice.
and he's been to a
Excellent.
game, and he's already been to his first game. We got a little plaque that says like his first game and a photo and everything else.
It's super cool.
Yeah, most of the teams do that, but the Mets do that. They said it's a thing. You walk up to their guest services and they do it for you. So it
That's
was
super cool.
very
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
And I'm excited to share that with him. And honestly, the thing I'm really excited to do is play catch with him. That's what I think about. I'm really excited to do that. Just toss the ball around with him. He already, by the way, I'll just share it because now we're talking about, it just happened today. He held a baseball for the first time today. I was tossing it
okay.
up in the air. I always have a baseball floating around. I was tossing it up in the air, and he was like fascinated, and he just reached over with his tiny hand and just grabbed
Which
it.
hand? Which hand did he reach for with it?
Okay, so I said this already.
Ooh, okay.
He reached with his left hand.
Oh,
Interesting.
Millionaire.
He's been spending a lot of time with my mom, who's a lefty.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I'm just saying.
Well, we'll say, right? You never know. And
Lefty
they switch
pitcher.
sometimes. They switch sometimes. So, Pete, you're gonna
Hey, if you
notice
can do
too.
both, that's even better.
All right, babies are really weird. Even if he comes out blonde hair, blue eyes, he might not keep his blue eyes. He might not keep his blonde hair. Who knows? And same thing with
Yeah.
handedness. He might just change.
Sure, I've seen kids change that kind of stuff, and right, we do have Steph and I have a little surprise Bills fandom initiation ceremony that you guys will see in time.
Rock and roll, man. That's awesome. Well, guys, I think that's fantastic. I'm very, very excited for you guys. Like really
Awesome.
excited. So congratulations, Pete, for sure.
congratulations, guys!
Congratulations.
Before
And
we
to
sign
Jefim, too,
off,
for his son's continued fandom exposure too.
So before we sign off, we would like to thank our friend and producer Pete Steffen for all of his hard work over the last year. And he will be off for a little bit while he and his wife Steph welcome a new baby into their lives. So congratulations, Pete, and best of luck.
Thanks, guys.
And we are going to try to continue to bring you the show like we did today, maybe not 20 minutes late.
You'll be fine.
It will be something.
Will be something. All right, you ready?
No,
John, are you
I
ready?
I am not ready. So you're
Okay,
just
so
have
John,
to
I'm
figure
gonna-
it out.
Here's some behind the scenes. I'm going to run you through this. All right, ready? So Mark's going to say, he's going to thank the guest, right? We're all going to say like, thanks, guys. Jeffin's going to say like, thanks, guys. That's when you hit play on the outro song. Mark's going to say his thing, and somehow it's going to magically time up to where we all say like, goodbye, right before the lyrics come on. And the second Steph starts singing, you hit that transition to the outro, and turn off the mics, and then we're good.
So you said play the song twice. I was just going to play the song, say when he said, that's what you think that these balls could talk, because that's the
You got to
cue.
start about 20 seconds sooner than that.
Okay. I got you.
Are you
man.
ready?
Sure. We'll see what
We're gonna
happens.
try it.
We're gonna try it.
So that has been our 10 topics. We would like to thank our guests for joining us this week. Thank you, Jeffem.
Thanks,
you boys for
Jefim.
having me as always.
Thanks, Jevin. Play the outro song.
Please subscribe to us by tickling that little bell or follow and like us on our socials at If These Balls Pod on X, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Our website is www.iftheseballscouldtalkpod.com. This is Mark Pesci, and for my partner John Capania and producer Pete Steffen, that's what we feel they would say if these balls could talk. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
If these